Hey there, welcome to day 1159 of What You Up To Now. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, documenting my journey as I transition from the brick and mortar corporate world of business to the online world of business. I was involved in at least 27 different offline businesses and industries, real world, in the trenches, brick and mortar type businesses, and worked for several different, some of the biggest, best, coolest corporations on the planet. Before I struck off on my own and decided I was going to explore the online world. And actually, it's just been a few years that I have been online. And I wanted to document my journey of what I'm doing and what's working, what's not. And it's interesting watching myself fall into all of the traps and the little mines, the little landmines that exist whenever we're starting a business and whenever we're going into a different industry and whenever we're going online. Things that I've done before, but I somehow in my mind decided that the online world, the internet, was so much different than the rest of the world. And it's really not. It's just a portion or a segment or a niche. It's a part of the world. And it's a part of the business world. Online business is indeed business, as much as I like to tease people that it's not the real world of business, because it is different. And it focuses more on some components of business than others. It doesn't focus on at least the people that teach in the online world don't necessarily focus on the other aspects and areas of the business that I grew up believing were more important, because whatever we're raised in, whatever we're exposed to, that's what we think is most important. So I came up in manufacturing and operations, as well as having an understanding of marketing and other aspects. But for the most part, my corporate career was in manufacturing and how we get things done and out the door, and interacting with the customer, quality that was delivered to the customer, both internal customer and external customer. We all have internal customers. Our boss is our supplier and our customer. Our customers inside the organization are the next stage or the next step in the process, whatever we do. If we are in maintenance, for example, or electrical, everybody in the company is usually our customer in some way, shape, or form, or IT. So everybody's our customer. And so we have a bigger job and a bigger group of people to fulfill than, say, for example, procurement. The procurement or the purchasing department, their job is to purchase what the other departments need. So their customers are internally the other departments that they buy and purchase products and services for. So that's an interesting and a different way of looking at it. It's how I've looked at it my whole career, because that's how I was brought into it. And I think part of the reason I loved it, I was in the quality function most of my career. I started out as a team manager at Procter & Gamble making toilet paper. I had a team of people that reported to me that made toilet paper. That was actually my first corporate job out of college, once I had gotten my engineering degree. But I had, of course, worked for 3M for 3 years and Honeywell prior to graduating from college as well. So I had some corporate experience and understanding of how big companies work. Nothing that had prepared me for the shock of being involved in P&G, which was a great experience. Learned so much from them. I learned that my love of learning could last my entire lifetime by doing different trainings and programs and things throughout that 5-year, 10-year, and as well as for the rest of my career. I just signed up for another 12-month coaching program that I'm a part of, because I hadn't done one on purpose for about a couple of years, and I was like, oh, I need a new coach. I need to focus on this area and aspect of my life. And so every year for the last 4 years, I have picked an area of focus. I started out with doing one thing every day that scares me. And I had a little journal book like this that I'd gotten for another business that a friend of mine and I were involved in. And we were not very good at getting out of our comfort zone. So that was a whole book, and one day, every day for the entire year. Finally, after about the 5th try of starting that book, I committed to and made a video every day doing one thing that stretched my comfort zone or got me out of my normal mode of operation, to look at things and see things differently. Then we did do one thing every day that makes you happy. And then we did do one thing every day do one fun thing every day last year, which was really fun. Perfect for 2020, believe me. It was a great one. I was hanging with my granddaughter, and so it made us, and we would have thought of fun things to do anyway, but it was just another fun thing that we could do every day. And this year, I decided to do one thing every day that centers me. Got these books up at the cabin, and I kind of go with what feels like the thing I personally need to work on for this year. Because if I'm going to commit to a 365-day challenge, it's got to be something that's important to me and something that I want to learn about and focus on. Of course, I've always wanted more love in my life. I've always wanted to be happy. I've always wanted to have fun. I've always wanted to stretch my comfort zone, because I know from past experience that nothing really happens in my little area of comfort. The only thing that happens in my comfort zone is the same thing that I've already experienced over and over and over again. So it's kind of like this endless loop of what already is. And if I want something else to expand bigger than how I am, or to expand my comfort zone, I have to be willing to push the envelope and try and do new things. So this year is do one thing every day that centers you. And part of my centering means understanding how my brain and my mind and my language and everything works better, right? It's not like I haven't been working on it for at least 20, 30 years. It's just that I'm not making as much progress as I wanted to. So what do you do when you're not making as much progress as you want? You look for resources that can help you. And I found a coaching program that I think is a pretty good fit. It's not 100% awesome and the best thing in the whole wide world. And have I second guessed, is this the right thing for me a couple of times? Yes. But what I will do is I will absorb all of the information. I will assimilate it. I'll use what works for me. I'll let go of the rest. I don't expect it to be the answer for my life. There is no one coach or one thing or one book or one anything that will ever be the be-all end-all answer for my life or yours. It just doesn't exist, because what's right for you is different than what's right for me. What I need at any given time is different than what you probably need, and only you and only I can figure that out. We have to be always willing to ask the question, well, what's next for me? What do I need to do next? And I don't have to worry about what's everything I need to do to get the things that I want. I just have to know, what is the next thing? What is the thing I should be doing right now? Because the only time I can act, the only time I can do anything, the only time any of us can, is in the present moment, in the right now. So our Supersize Your Business, I've been doing a Supersize Your Business page and group for probably close to 3 years now. I'd have to look at when I actually started the group, but I want to say 2018. Now, I had the idea for Supersize Your Business at least 25, 30 years ago. I had it when I was doing a program with Robert Allen back in the old real estate and personal development days early on. I did a coaching program with the Robert Allen, I don't remember what it was called now. I can't remember what it was called, but it was that many years ago. But I met incredible people in that program, and I did that coaching program, and I participated in it and created a lot of amazing changes in my life for myself and for my ex-husband, and loved it. And when I was doing that, I can't remember what my point was. That's terrible. I had one of those mornings. I was up with my granddaughter, and it's just been one of those mornings. So I'm a little distracted, but I started doing this Supersize Your Business. Oh, I had the idea back in the Robert Allen days. That's what it was. And I never really did it. I just sat on it for the longest time. I played with the idea. It was always in the back of my mind. I had notebooks full of stuff about it, but I never actually pulled the trigger and acted on it. And then a couple of years ago when I came online, I'm like, geez, I still think Supersize Your Business is an idea that's worth building on. So I created a page, and there's like a scavenger hunt on the beginning of it that walks you through the entire process of how do you grow and build and supersize your business. And how you apply that is, of course, always up to you, just like everything else. But it's there, it's free, it's still there, it's still up and free if anybody ever wants to go to it. But to keep that group going, I started doing, I want to say 750, let's see what day we're on today, 758 days ago for sure, and really longer because I didn't start counting till quite a while into the doing, because I was just doing it as part of my getting ready to move, so I had something to talk about every day automatically. But then it became like, oh, I want to quit doing it. I'm going to quit doing it when I'm done with this book where I got the original idioms from, and then I decided, oh, I'm going to do all of them in the book. It was a book of 600 plus idioms, so I thought, well, I'm just going to do the whole book. And then, because as I got down, I would just randomly pick and choose one out of the book, but as I got down to what was left, it got harder and harder and more challenging, which is more challenging and more fun to me, to tie the different sayings, the different idioms into a business setting. Some were just downright hard. I think there were probably one or two where I even said, this is, I don't even know how I got this, but here's how I tied this to growing and building your business. And almost anything we can tie to growing and building our business if we think about it from a broad enough perspective. If we just look at how we're looking at the saying from a different perspective, it's amazing the things that will come up. For example, today's was what goes around comes around. It's a relatively new saying, came in popularity in the 1970s, which is when I was being a teenager, 10 to 20, I was in the 70s. And so that was my formative years in terms of personal growth and development, and starting out and learning and figuring out, my life was the beginning of the awakening of that. And so what goes around comes around was a big deal. We heard it a lot growing up. We used it a lot growing up. We saw examples of it all around us growing up. And so to me, that reminds me of karma, cause and effect. And what we put out is what we get back. And so that was a really good one. It's a good proverb. It's a good idiom. And of course, it dates back to the time of Jesus when he said, as you sow, so shall you reap. But there's been all kinds of other similar and different iterations of that particular saying. So it was a fun one today. Our challenge for the 365 day, all about you, do one thing every day that centers you, was about our mind and lighting a fire, rekindling the fire in our mind. Let me see if I can find that. Rekindling the fire in our mind, because our mind, our mind is not just a vessel to store a lot of junk in. It's to make us and make our life work. It's to create what we want in our life, and we need to sometimes just rekindle the fire that's in our brain to move toward what we want. So often we get beat down in life and beat down by circumstances and things like COVID, a pandemic, and we forget that we want so much more. I know I've gone through periods of my life, not for very long, because I get restless automatically, but where I was like thinking and talking to myself and saying, wow, you should really appreciate this. Your life is awesome. You should just enjoy it. And I'd always get that nagging feeling after like a day or so of me trying to convince myself I should enjoy it. And I did enjoy it, but I always had but there's more than this. There's more than just your family and your life and your sense of wealth and well-being. There's more that you can contribute by going out and doing things and being an example. So that was our centering challenge today. Get Up and Go challenge started the 7th. Get Up and Go challenge today, our 7th and final free 30+ day challenge. I don't know what's going to be next for the Get Up and Go challenge, but I know that this is the last time I'm going to teach it in the format that I adopted, last year during COVID. It was my response to, holy crap, what am I going to do now? Because it doesn't feel right to do the things that I was doing when so many people were hurting and in a really bad spot. So I wanted to find a way to share and give back some of the things that I had learned about changes and challenges and how we can guarantee that we'll be better off after going through a change and challenge than before by applying a simple process, a simple framework that if we do it a few times, all of a sudden it becomes automatic. We don't have to think about it anymore. We don't have to think about the steps. It's only 4 steps, but we don't have to think about them consciously. We can give that job to our subconscious, and our subconscious will automatically give us a better result than had we not had this framework in it, or had we continued to run on whatever crazy chaotic framework that we had in there. And believe me, I had some crazy chaotic frameworks and habits in my system that I wanted to address and clean up a little during 2020 and again into 2021. Well, I stopped doing that. No, now that it's inside me, it's a part of me, I'll do it that way forever, unless I learned something that changes and makes the process better, even better. I've had a continuous improvement philosophy for I don't know, my whole life. I've always wanted to get better and improve everything that I've always been doing until I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. I think of things like sports that I attempted and did. I am not an athletic person, but I did play tennis for a long time till my vision shut me down from playing tennis. I used to do a lot of things like that. So it wasn't until I consciously say, okay, I'm done with this for these reasons, and what's next? And I always had the what's next before I was done with something. So that's our challenges. Get Up and Go challenge day 1 today was just a welcome, a tool, and an action item. I am committed to, and I'm saying this out loud again, keep those under 10 minutes. And for a lot of reasons. I think what I'll do is I'll do 10 minutes, and then I'll have a live session later on in the day if people, or if it's a topic I want to go more into. I know that there's 7 key areas and aspects of our life: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, and relationships. And I do 3, and I break down the framework every day, 1 step a day for for 3 days. Well, that takes 12 days out of our 30. And then I want to make sure that all of the aspects of our life get that whole SOAP framework. And so those days tend to be like about a half an hour, because it's really hard to get that out and done in sharing a live example with other people in 10 minutes. And so I don't want to shortcut any of those days. So I'm getting creative and figuring out, well, how am I going to cover those over the next, within the 31-day period, and make sure everybody gets everything that they need. Maybe I'll have supplemental material or a couple of extra videos or something. All right, that's it. Have an amazing day. If I can help you in any way, ask in the comments below. Otherwise, I've got some stuff to get ready for the holiday coming up, and I'm going to have sleepover with my granddaughter and a whole bunch of fun things. So I hope that you're doing well. I will, of course, be with you tomorrow to let you know what she's up to now. Take care.